Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I am here with veteran Noob's account, and this is part 7 of my adventures in CSR2. So the focus of this entire season was to basically make it through as a milestone member and make points, and also continue to build my car collection and set myself up for the future. In doing so, one of the first things I focus on is silver keys. Even though I have pulled the Prestige Cup card pretty easily, I actually saved silver keys from there on, and I am now up to 880 silver keys. Bronze keys were spent quite a bit during the season in order to finish the Prestige Cup. So bronze keys are critical now for any player to use to get their car into a shape where it can be effective either in live or to finish events. So that means by doing what I was doing with this Prestige Cup car, I have it built to the point where I am able to use it for the Elite license. Speaking of that, coming season is when I'm actually going to tackle Temepest, mainly because up to this point I've been holding off on licensing certain cars simply because they're not really optimal for licensing. And quite honestly, I don't have the car. While I have some free cars from before, I am avoiding using them in order to match what a current new player would have in their garage. So that's why T3 is still left blank. I have the BMW from Rookie Pass that could be used here, but then I don't have a car to run the event, or vice versa. So what I'm doing is I'm holding off until next season when the Prestige Cup car should be a T3 Audi. And if it is, that's great. If it's not, I'll be polling for the Prestige Cup car, and there's a chance I will pull a T3 car anyway. Regardless, I'm holding off and resisting the urge to spend gold to buy cars or spend cash to buy cars because they're not coming with stars and they're not really worth it. You're wasting cash, wasting gold, just to proceed forward on something that's not really time sensitive. Now, as part of the crew, I've done everything without much communication, but I've done everything that the crew generally asks. This crew is interesting in that the top players are very, very high in points, and the lower players are pretty low, but the bottom line is they get the milestone done. I have contributed in this season on my account to putting in 480 tokens and making 1.2 million crew points. And that's as a new player. Basically, without pushing the way I did, you can easily make 650K if that was the crew minimum without really pushing live racing, which I did. I'll admit that because I have multiple accounts, I leveraged my other accounts to swap with this account to make live racing a little bit easier using a T5. That is why my cash is much higher, and also my cars or my points are doing so well. But nonetheless, if you don't have a live racer in the higher tiers, you can still rely on the good old tier 1. Whether it's this or this, you can easily win in live racing and get keys and get some RP. Although really to get good RP, you'll probably want to run at least 250 GTO, which is a T2 or higher, because you would get better RP. And certainly part of the reason I really want to pull this PC car is because the Nissan, while it's not an excellent live racer, it's certainly a decent enough live racer to be able to be set up to win. Now, another mistake newer players tend to make is they set up a car and then they set it up immediately with the highest level of upgrades, trying to do what they think is the best thing for it, which is, oh, my car is faster, therefore it must win in live. That is unfortunately not the case. Your best chance of winning is always going to be a mildly upgraded car with a very high evo after tuning. That for beginning players will still hold better in lobby than most more upgraded cars with lower evo and higher performance point. Not to say you can't win, I'm just saying that it's harder to win and it's harder to maintain winning. One thing you run into a lot with cars set up new or when the lobbies are not busy is empty lobbies. So the way to kind of tweak around this is real simple. What you do is you go back to tuning and you simply adjust your dyno just a hair. What happens with a lot of these is that for some reason, if the computer cannot find a car to match your dyno almost exactly, it tries to just put you in a lobby while it figures out what to do. Just by tweaking things a little bit, a hair or two, you can sometimes go back to the lobby and get an opponent, versus where if you're just sitting in the lobby, it just stays empty. And that's a kind of a newer thing in the last year or so. But as you can see, just by slight tweak, I now have found a lobby again. Not sure why it's doing this recently, but it's a common thing. Also, when you're live racing, know your opponents. A good, well-tuned Z06 will always beat dyno and therefore can run faster than what the lobby can run. So you may want to consider, if you're not ahead of this car by the end of the track, that it's probably running a tune that is dyno beating. Therefore, you want to be careful and not run your car too hard. Whether it's T1 or T5, I never run my car faster than it needs to win. Generally speaking, control is the key of the live racing game. Whether your car is good or bad, having absolute control over what you can run as you wish to run it is the important part. This car re-challenged me right away. That usually means it feels, or the player feels confident that he can get me. That could be because, one, our first race was very close, or two, he has actually a better tune than I think, and he's going to open up the can of, all right, I guess he didn't open up the can of whoopies. But the point is, depending on who the player is, what their car is tuned to, there will be various level of what can they do to me. Now, he is in here with me. This car, again, is also capable of this, but I don't think he has the fusions, because unlike the Nissan, Chevy fusions you can't get from stripping cars. You rely fully on the crates and luck and those kind of things. The other thing is, get used to recognizing certain names. If you pop into any lobby and you always see the same guy, and I usually see this guy in this lobby, I know approximately what people run in here. Now, the fast end of people in here can run as low as, and I don't want to give away all the secrets, but 10.8s are not uncommon in here. But I shouldn't say not uncommon, it's very uncommon in here, but it's possible. Those 992s can run 8.2s in here. Torteras can run 7.9s. But your average car in here, even a good one, would run on the fast end probably 11.4, on the slow end 12s. So this is one of those lobbies where things can be very broad, and this is true of truly any lobby. So as a new player, you want to be careful to keep an eye on what you're running and not worry about what people are ultimately capable of, because there's always going to be somebody who can beat you. And I'm not worried about winning every race. I'm worried about getting enough wins to get my keys, my RP, and my money. I mean, that's really the only goal here. It's to get money, keys, and RP to do as best as I can for my crew, right? So maintaining the 11.8 runs as much as possible maintains me in this lobby, and hopefully keeps me viable, keeps my car viable for the most part. And again, this Nissan, while it's not super good, with the 10% bonus I got from the Elite license, with the 1800 Evo range at 633, gives me a setup that is viable and certainly competitive enough. Now, I bumped this car up to the 650s before, and at the 650s range, it's not as good, and quite honestly, I have to push the car too much. Now, as it is, we're pushing a little bit here, and I'd rather not bother to fight for that win, even though I possibly could have won that. It's just a little too fast for this lobby, and over time, this will happen. Either you get bumped, or you will eventually change lobby a little bit. Now, bumping doesn't mean that your car's done. It just means that you move to the next level fast opponents. Now, so let's say he ran 11.5. Now he's going to run opponents that run from 11.7 to 11.3s. And sooner or later, you're going to run into a 11.3 guy that's going to make you push really hard. and now you're in the 11-4 lobby, and it's so on and so forth. This is a vicious cycle. So the longer you push your car, the harder you push your car. Whoops, I think I lost that one. Oh well. The harder you push your car, the more likely you're going to end up in a bad position. Now, I just did 11-5 and he still beat me. That means after running the last guy at 11-5, the next guy the computer introduced into the lobby is the 11-5 guy. That also seems to work with cars coming in. Each time a new car comes in, it is likely based on the last car you run. Now, you will always get some new players popping into the lobby that runs really slow, but that's not always the case, and that can get tricky. What you can do is, of course, run slow a few times and then wait for new guys to pop in and see if they run slow to kind of slow you back down. That's the typical trick with dealing with players coming in and out of these lobbies. Russian team, now it's the same car. Depending on his tune, I suspect he's also going to run probably 11-5, 11-6s because I just ran 11-5 not long ago. But if he is in fact slower, that's great. If he's not, then I'm going to have to slow down a little and buffer my time a little bit. Yeah, 11-5-07 against 11-6. So again, I'm being pushed into running 11-5. So whereas earlier I was only running 11-8. And this is very common. A series of cars have now come in. This is a car that beats Dino by a lot, depending on the tune. So I got to be very careful here. If anything, I'm willing to give up a win just to keep my car more viable long term. In the long run, I'd rather not have to reset my car, and I can just keep bringing it into lobby as I need it. So I'm just gonna slow down, do a slow run, let him win, because he's probably gonna be running pretty fast. I just ran 11-5. That means the next guy pushing in should be relatively quick. He did 11-7, 9-8. That's not bad. That's actually good for me. I could have beaten that, but I'd rather take on this one here. Again, same car. I can get a better feel for it if the opponent's car is going to be faster just from the way it launches and how it keeps up with me. Another option for now is to sit it out. I can do that by doing this. Set it out for a few minutes. Watch new players join into the lobby. Based on people leaving and coming in, the chain of matchmaking will move you down to hopefully a little bit slower opponents. So those are all tricks that you can do to keep up. And also note that you have to know which cars can beat Dino over time. That's kind of a knowledge thing. That's what makes me better than your average new player, because I can look at a car and go, okay, I know this car runs Dino but can get lobby advantage. I know this car can get both if it's set up right. This car tend to get lobby advantage, tend to beat Dino slightly. This one, it's brand new. It's a low performance point, high evo car. So you know what these cars can do. You kind of have an idea what lobby you should be in, and you know what opponents are supposed to do. That's experience. That's where I am a veteran versus a true new player, and that's the advantage I have when I go into live versus a new player who may not have the same advantage. Notice I was running as slow as 11.8s with my 11.36 dyno. Even my fastest run, 11.5, was 0.2 slower than my dyno, and I was still winning. Tells you why this car is a good live racer in this particular setting. However, if you increase this without increasing that advantage starts to wear thinner. The matchmaking will put you against cars that are stronger and so on and so forth. I don't mind staying at a slower lobby if I'm winning. The key is I'm winning. And winning is going to be important for making RP, making keys, all that good stuff. Why am I not using my Elite LC500? Because it's not ready. Due to the missing fusions, and this is the same for the Supra, due to the missing fusions, no matter how I set up this car, no matter how good I set up this car, which incidentally has a lot of nitrous fusions, which is good, but notice it doesn't help the car for evo purposes. And even if I retune it, I'm still at a disadvantage between this and that. So this determines the approximate bracket of performance point cars that you can face. But remember, you can face cars that are like 714 in the same lobby. This number determines how fast your car is relative to the level of upgrades you have. That's the important one. Because if you dyno 12.9 at 618 and my other car dynos 11.9 at 618, that car naturally will have way more evo than this car. But the difference is in 11.9s, most cars won't have 618. They'll be like 640, 630. And the matchmaking, whether it takes into full consideration or not, we don't know. But we do know that generally, the lower this is, the higher that is, the more likely you'll match to other players that are going to be at higher performance point, lower evo, and higher dyno, giving you, again, what we call advantage. And that's the key to live racing. It gives you advantage, you can win. So what am I doing? I am building for the future. All this stuff I've been doing on the map, I did open up, so Legend Trials available to me. I'm going to finish that in SXR, but it still needs about 14,000 tokens. That's a time-consuming process that you just have to be patient for. The Ford Performance event opened up, and I locked in the first car, but not the second one, because starting here, you're going to have to buy it for gold. Now, I have the gold. I could buy it, but why didn't I? As of right now, I'm going to be pulling cars every season, and that T2 is not unlikely to be pulled from the crates. So rather than burning the gold, getting the same car, I'll just wait and hope that I get it by random chance. The other thing is that with legend cars, I am not buying additional legend car to lock in here just yet and rushing it, because it's always better to restore one legend car at a time. Once you have two legend cars, these trials get confusing, and you start have to do different trials for, and they'll randomly give you tokens for each car, meaning both car that you have in your restoration garage now will be restored at half the rate of a single car. So yes, I leveraged the T4 to get through tier 4, and therefore the NSXR is already in there being built. I'm not going to mess around and put another legend car in at this point and slow my progress down, because this car does take quite a bit of tokens to finish, and it's holding me back in that sense. But once it's done, I can go right back to T2, get the 300 SL and move that up very quickly. All these map stuff, do them all. Do them all. Anytime they come up, I'm running it, because it's cash, it's it's RP, it's every little bit on the maps really help you progress. And because of running everything this season and basically leveraging live racing as well, and notice I don't bet, in fact, I don't bother to bet. I haven't bet anybody in live racing. I've spent money building these cars, which for that tier 5 Nissan, it's almost 6 million cash, and I'm sitting on 3 million cash after one season. And that when I got the elite license step, I was down to nothing because I wanted to be down to nothing, right? So earning cash is one of those things that it's reflective of playing. Guys who are making 1 million RP a season normally with proper management will not have severe cash problems. Of course, if you're going for an event like this and you're relatively new, you will have severe cash problems, because building 5 or 6 cars from the ground up, that'll bankrupt anybody, even a veteran player that's been playing a while. So you cannot just jump in and go, okay, well, what's 30 million? I got it. Maybe when you're sitting on 200-300 million, that's easy. But when you're on million after million trying to earn every piece, that's not so good. So NSXR can run the Elite Custom Trial. It can also run the Legend Trials. Not every day's Legend Trials will be the same, so you do need to check it each time. So just between those two events, always run your weekly Elite Cup as well. Very important for the crew and very important for you to Elite upgrade your car further. Every little bit counts when it comes to this game, and it is a grind. It is repetitive, but when you're getting 12,000 cash per race, you do 15 races, that's cash in the bank, and then that's RP as well. Ultimately, doing all these things over time is what keeps the cash up, keeps your RP up, keeps your crew happy, and keep you moving forward. So that is the current status of the veteran noob in CSR. Restoration is there, but not quite done. I need to restore engine and interior, which is a huge one. That's 10K tokens. Once that's complete, this car will then come out of the garage and I can move on and put in a new tier 2. Therefore, I can start doing Izzy's explanation. Legend is a grind, no rush. Tempest is a grind, no rush. However, next season, assuming the Prestige Cup car is a T3, more or less, I'm going to be doing Tempest, and you'll see me running that. I may do it as a live stream. I am debating to do that. I know some of you guys will be interested in seeing how I tackle Tempest 1 live so that you can see every move I make during that. However, it would only make sense as a live stream because it takes so long to do. But we'll figure that out. I may spread it out into multiple live streams, or I may do some videos and then one big live stream to finish up certain legs of Tempest. So stay tuned for that. And that basically wraps up part 7. Basically, this part, I would say, to summarize, the most important achievement out of this, I finally got myself a tier 5 viable live racer, and now I am set each season to still be able to go into lobby and actually do okay. I hope you liked the video. I hope the information I gave you is somewhat helpful. Feel free to comment or ask questions and let me know what you think. If you like the video, please leave a like. It helps generate more views and more make YouTube's algorithm make the video more noticeable. If you like my channel, subscribe, hit the bell. There will be more parts of this Veteran Noob's Adventures in CSR2 coming, and other videos as well, and you'll get notified when I put up new videos. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.